Sweet Rosie, do you have the time? It's been a great escape and a long decline and dying. I haven't seen you in years.
Jack Hamill, dude, thank you for joining me for an episode of On That Note. Drove all the way from Atlanta, Georgia to make this happen.
Yeah, man, thank you for having me. I honestly, this was a podcast that I was going to reach out to in maybe a few months, hoping to be on, because I've definitely listened before. Love what you're doing. So
thank you.
I'm honored to be here. Glad
to
be here in the studio. Yeah, man, I know.
I was reading your mind. I was like, I know he wants to come on. You better get here.
I've been preparing.
I appreciate you choosing in person over Zoom.
Yeah, dude.
Just because there's something about the energy.
Absolutely.
And I started doing this on Zoom.
Okay.
Back in 2020.
Yeah.
As a quarantine project, something to try out, and meet people, meet musicians online and all that, and then didn't do in person for forever until the end of last year. And once I did it once, it was like I have to do this every time.
Yeah, man.
Because the good thing about Zoom is you can talk to anybody in the world.
Yep.
But there's always going to be that digital barrier as opposed to face to face, It's
a little latency. You're not really seeing that much.
Sorry about my
no problem.
Number 2. Let's do not disturb.
Yeah.
Should have done that before. But Jack Hamill, thanks for coming on the show. We're going to talk about all of your new tunes. We got Through the Years, I Remember When, and Double Exposure. Your newest singles, all part of an album culminating that will be coming out in September, right?
Yep.
Nice.
Absolutely.
And that one is called I Wrote This Album Because I Love You.
Yeah.
Right? Nice. I love that album title.
Thank you, man.
I was kind of like a long album title.
So it's random. Obviously the title has a lot of significance behind it, but that actual phrase, I went on this road trip with a good friend of mine. We the winter after COVID hit, when no one's doing anything, we went and hit every ski resort that we could. Mm-hmm. And I just randomly bought this book. I literally bought this book because of the title, just in a random bookstore in Denver, and it was I Wrote This Book Because I Love You. And then I was coming up with my album name a year and a half later, and that stuck with me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a pretty good book. But
how does it feel to be putting out a debut album? Because you put out singles before this kind of rollout. Also, do you mind bringing that microphone just a little bit closer to
absolutely.
your face?
Yep. How's that?
Beautiful.
Good. Yeah. I feel I had this huge sense of accomplishment right when I finished recording, but it hasn't sunk in that it's out there yet, because I feel I'm still so wrapped up in the day-to-day of getting single album covers, playing shows, making content, Mm-hmm. I feel once I get the final album cover done and send it off for distribution, and then I'm just waiting, then it'll really sink in. But
and even then, dude, when it comes out, it's a very surreal feeling.
Yeah.
It's it's strange because you've heard it for years and years. You've heard the seeds of it. You've heard the weird halfway points where you've recorded only the drums, you've heard every facet of this song for years, and it so well. And then it comes out and everyone else hears it for the first time in its quote unquote perfect state, or its final form, I guess.
Yeah.
And to you, it's weird because you've known it from the birth until that moment that everybody else gets to hear it. But at the same time, on top of that, you've also, I'm assuming, written songs and grown since you've even recorded these. So people are kind of hearing a timestamp of you from 2 years ago.
Dude, I was literally about to bring that up. It's so, I keep having to remind myself that no one else has heard these songs, because I love them, but I'm in a way tired of them and tired of messing with them. Mm-hmm. And I want to move on to new stuff, but I'm no, people have only heard 3 songs from this album. Barely anyone has listened to, hopefully will listen to it.
Yeah.
I keep just having to slow myself down, because I have a whole nother album I'm ready to record in one form or another,
Yeah.
But you gotta step by step.
And you recorded this in Nashville.
I did, yeah.
4115 Studios.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah,
How
with
was that
Wirebird
experience?
Productions. It was such a different world up there. It's so much more professional than anything else I'd done. Just the quality of musicians I was playing with.
Yeah.
Because I got a whole band. that wasn't the plan initially. Like, I have a home studio I've built out, and I've done some producing both like for myself and for other people. And so I tried to self-produce all these songs, but I think I wrote a lot of them when I was kind of in like a singer-songwriter, old school, like acoustic guitar mindset. Mm-hmm. So they felt like they needed to be played by a band together and like to do it in an old school way, you know? So I just like, I was connected. I was in a band for a while, and the guy that mixed our songs was a producer up in Nashville. And so it was kind of just like perfect, you know? And so, yeah, I went up there. So I got a keyboardist for 2 days. We recorded for 4 days with like drums, bass, and other guitarists, and we knocked out 10 songs in 4 days. And like,
jeez, dude,
these guys
crazy.
like you could, like, the drummer clearly like listened to him beforehand and put a lot of thought in, but like you could tell that some of them like had not really like listened to it, and they still just came in and like
not
knocked it out.
Names or anything.
Yeah, but just like absolutely killed it.
Yeah,
like one take, and just like the skill of like the drummer being like, oh, I didn't like how I played this one part, and then being able to punch in immediately and knowing like exactly what cymbals he hit and exactly what like intensity he hit them, so that the fade like works perfectly.
Yeah, that's
just like
crazy.
So skilled. Yeah, and like knowing like playing through the entire song and then like remembering like measure like 62, like that pre-chorus. I think I could do that better, and then like just punching that and just like knocking it out and being done is incredible.
It's wild.
Yeah,
you have a lot of horn section.
Yeah,
stuff
that
on
was
singles that have come out at least so far.
Yeah.
What was it like having to translate your ideas in terms of horns to them? Did you already know what you want, or did he say like, hey, this is the key, maybe think something like this?
Yeah, so there are, I think, 4 songs with horns on them. Obviously I remember when the first single has that big horn hook, and actually when I made the demo I played that on an electric guitar, and it like lined up with the bass line I had for it. And then just like when I was listening back in my head, I was like, oh, this has to be horns. Like, because it's like the first song on the album, and it kind of fits the more like old school vibe I was going for.
Yeah.
And that's actually something I'm leaning into in my newer songs too. Like, I love that vibe. Like, there's something about like how hard just horns can kind of punch in a mix and stuff.
I always love some horns.
Dude, even in just like a Midwest emo song, a nice trumpet or something.
Yeah, true.
It takes you to a different place.
I think American football does that.
Yeah.
They have trumpet on some songs, and it's like a little unexpected, but it's tastefully done.
Exactly.
I play songs. When I play live, I have a saxophonist with me. It's kind of like a Bruce situation. But there's only one song with a saxophone. I have 2 others with like trumpet. But he just fills in those parts.
Yeah,
and like,
absolutely.
It's kind of sick. Even if I had no songs with trumpet in them, it would still be pretty cool to have trumpet. It's just an extra layer that most people don't even think about. And like, it's cool to get the audience reaction after. They're like, that's sick. You have got a saxophone. Because it's just something a little off the beaten path.
Yeah. It's just like another melodic element you can throw at them. Actually, I played saxophone in middle school, and I still have it. So like on a demo, I'll like come up with an idea, and I'm like, all right, maybe I should find someone who can actually rip this.
Do you play it often?
I'll just screw around in the studio, you know, not like I would never like take a gig and have someone pay me to play saxophone. Right. Like that would be tough. Like I'm just like searching for the note and hearing it out. Like I don't know.
Right.
It's crazy too, because you'll look up like horn fingery charts, and like the like note for a trumpet is different than the actual note, and I don't know why they do that.
What do you mean?
But, like they'll say like,
oh wait,
the fingering
like
for a C. It's like, how do I finger a C? But it's like not actually a C. I don't even know, but it's so confusing. And like the different saxophones are different notes. It's crazy. But yeah.
That's wild, dude. I used to play clarinet in 4th and 5th grade. I wish I kept it up, dude, because that'd be a cool thing to just bust out. Man. Be like, yeah, I play clarinet.
My sister played clarinet too.
Really?
Yeah.
So does she still?
No. I feel like I did these live streams in COVID though, and I had her
cool.
feet on one of my songs with her clarinet.
Nice.
I feel like that's
For a second, I thought you meant her actual feet. I was like, what?
No,
That's weird.
No, no, never. Let's not go there.
F-E-A-T.
Yeah.
Everybody
Period.
listening.
Feature. Stands for featuring. Yeah.
That's funny. I always like to ask the question about your writing and recording process behind the album. I know that, you just said it is a bit more of like an upgrade in terms of, you got session musicians coming in. You're recording in Nashville in like a studio with production team. What, other than that, like what about that felt very different compared to what you were doing? Like, what did you learn? I would imagine there's a whole lot you can learn from being surrounded by like super professionals.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it was just like learning the value of just getting something done, like finishing stuff. Because before then, like I just sat and re-recorded parts forever and like rewrote things and would record songs and then shelve them because I'm like, no, like I can do this better, because you're constantly getting better. And I think like just seeing these people like hear a song, come up with an idea and just make it work and roll it. And obviously they have so much experience doing that. But just like trusting your instincts and like being confident in what you're coming up with, Do
you feel like it's easier to trust your instincts around other musicians?
That's interesting. I guess I hadn't thought of it, in that context. I'm thinking of it in more of a like writing perspective. Like I'm someone who will rewrite a lyric like a million times, rewrite a pre-chorus melody, try and find a new chord progression to make it more interesting, and kind of just over this past recording process learning that like that's keeping me from moving on to new things, and I might be squeezing like 1% more out of an idea when I could be getting a whole nother thing.
That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah.
Like trying to squeeze every last drop of the orange that's already like...
Yeah, and like the idea is great and it's there. Like at the end of the day, no one's going to care about the second guitar part you add in on the like bridge or whatever, So like just like the value of finishing things. Also like in the past I'd like tried to do it all myself and just the value of collaboration and like you said, just being around more musicians, like trusting other people and just the value in letting other people give their creativity to your song, maybe not being as protective about things, just being like, this is a communal thing now. And even if it's not exactly what I would come up with, it's cooler and it's better because everyone's adding their own flavor to it,
Yeah, that can be a weird thing at first, letting somebody kind of come in and tinker with your song. But I think after you do it once or twice, you start to understand what boundaries are important to you and what is okay to be shaped by somebody else and not feel like it's being like your song is taken over or something.
Yeah, and I think it's just about trusting the other people too, as long as you're in a room with people that you have faith in creatively and trust that they're, doing it for the right reasons and like just want to create the best product, like that's the best environment you could be in. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite part of the creative process? Maybe that's the writing, maybe recording.
Yeah.
Anything like that?
I feel like I love and hate every part at the same time. I'm trying to think of the part that just like brings me the most joy. Like I love when I finally like finished a song, like lyrics and structure and melodies and all, and I can like make a voice memo on my phone of like just an acoustic guitar and my vocals the whole song, because then
like the official demo.
Exactly, because I feel like getting to that point, like the last 10% of writing a song is like the most painful part. And once you're over that hump, like I think it's easier to have fun like producing a song. Like I take songwriting so seriously sometimes that I lose the joy in it. But once I get over that hump, then I can like start coming up with cool parts, and once you have that, like you can go to a show and play the song and you can see what people think of it, and like maybe you end up posting it online or something. So I feel like you're free to share it once you reach that point.
Yeah.
But until then, it's like at least for me, it's like second guessing and being nervous. I mean, like, does this fit my style? You know, like having like the worst thoughts. Like, is this actually good? Am I terrible at songwriting? You know?
Yeah. It's a slippery slope if you start thinking like that too. And
yeah.
I feel like what has helped me, and I don't always take this advice, but when you're writing something, just try to be as not objective. I'm sorry. Try to be, well, I guess objective. Just try to be as detached from it as possible. Yeah. And just treat it like this is its own thing. Like if you've never made pottery, you know, you wouldn't expect your first class to like make something that you'll cherish for the rest. I mean, you might cherish for the rest of your life if you like enjoy doing pottery later and you're like, this was my first one, but like it's not going to be your magnum opus. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, it's okay to just mess around and try new things and learn the lesson from that song. And maybe you're like, oh, that's a cool way to approach a bridge, even though I don't love the rest of the song. And then you take that into something else.
Yeah. Maybe you end up like swiping the pre-chorus or the chorus and putting it on a different thing. But yeah, just like finishing is something in the past few months even that I've just realized is so important for my process. Because if I don't just like make a point to finish something, I'll just keep going back to it. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I've made a point, like even just like recording a voice memo and like sending it to my girlfriend. And like maybe I'll rewrite something, but it's just like I just sat down and like got a first draft at least done, versus like thinking like, oh, the mood isn't perfect, you know, like I'll wait for inspiration to strike. You know?
Yeah. I wrestle with that sometimes. I try to just make myself sit down for 15 minutes. Yeah. And if by the end of 15 minutes nothing happens, it's no sweat. It's just, you know, you just worked out the muscle. But then at other times, it does feel like that inspiration hits and you gotta catch it like lightning in a bottle. I think both are true.
Yeah. But I think that inspiration, like even though it feels like it comes out of the blue, is just like, it's the culmination of like days or weeks of work, where like you've just gone in and you've collected, you have all these ideas rattling around in your head, and then they fit together like a puzzle. All of a sudden you're like, yes, like I wrote this line for another song, but it works here, you know? It's just like, I feel like my writing process is like, I have all these like ideas that I'm like, this idea is strong enough to be a song, and then all these like tangential lines or licks or like quick chord progressions that are just like floating around, and all of a sudden they kind of like fit together into a song, you know?
Yeah. Do you usually, when you're writing a song, what do you feel like has been the pattern of what ends up feeling like a successful Jack Hamill song? You know what I mean? A lot of people have different approaches or processes, and sometimes those vary, but like in general for you, what would you say is like the average start to finish in terms of writing a song?
Like a time frame, or
maybe a time frame, but also like, for example, for me, if I write something that feels like it's got a lot of potential, I don't want to stop until I feel like it's done. Yeah. Like that moment, because I don't want to lose that. Yeah. That, I don't know, whatever is in the air in that time. But it doesn't always work out like that. But I really try to force it when it happens. So here's a better question. What would be your ideal way of writing? Yeah. Like what's like the best way for you?
Well, I feel like all the songs on this album, like, took years in some ways. Like maybe a chorus was sitting around forever and I finally like sat down and finished it. But I feel like for something to be like a Jack Hamill song in like its current form, I mean, like the melody has to be strong, obviously, but I feel like the line in the chorus and like the meaning of the song has to be like something that like makes me think a little bit, or like lyrics that I think a good barometer is like lyrics that I'm confident in like presenting to an audience. Like I think the lyrics are so important for me. Just like, and there's a negative side to it where it's like, I think when I first started writing, I was trying too hard to be clever and to like prove to people I was clever. But now it's become like lyrics that I'll write, and then I'll look back on it, I'm like, oh, I'm proud I wrote that. Like that still means something to me, you know? Like I think even if a song has a great melody, if I haven't come up with really like honest lyrics to it, I just like I can't release it, you know? Just something about it.
Yeah. And you know when
Exactly.
when it's not up to snuff.
Yeah. I actually have a song I just wrote, and like I love the melody and it's like stuck in my head, but the lyrics just haven't settled in yet. You know, like it's just about the classic like girl breaks boy's heart, but it has no basis in reality. You know, so it just feels a little cheesy to me right now.
Gotcha.
So I think like an example of my process is I think I'm just gonna let that one sit in the back of my mind, and then at some point another lyric will fit into that chorus, and then the rest of the song will just like make sense all of a sudden.
Yeah.
You know? And I'll know what to write the verses about.
Sometimes you just need one line.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then everything else falls into place.
You just need that one. You need to know what the soul of the song is. And then like the rest can be almost just like mechanical work, just like finding a verse that supports that chorus. But yeah, I feel like you just need to know what the song is and like what it means.
Yeah. What do you think is the toughest part for you when it comes to the entire creative process?
Yeah, I think.
I know you said,
like
finishing a song.
I think just from a writing standpoint, coming up with like a whole song's worth of lyrics that I feel like proud of and comfortable sharing with people, and like putting on a recording that's gonna hopefully be out there for my lifetime or longer, you know. And then like the recording's a whole nother thing, just like being happy with the take and just being able to say like that's all the parts this song needs, you know. Because I feel like when you have your own home studio and your instruments, like you'll be like, oh, could I fit in another guitar part? Like, does this need synth? I feel like I'm always
find.
I feel like I'm always like, this needs another synth pad, and it's just like, no, you don't need to put a second synth pad on the song that's an acoustic guitar song, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do think having a producer who you trust helps give an outside perspective that, you know, gives you a little bit more clarity on what the song is. I mean, forget having a producer. How many times have you shown something to somebody that's like not done yet?
Yeah.
And like the second you start it, you're like, I should not have shown you this. Like you already know what you need to change just because somebody else is in the room. They don't have to say anything. It's a great and also very humbling feeling.
Absolutely.
You're like, oh my God, dude, my voice sucks on this. I should have definitely redone this.
Yeah, I mean, that's I'm trying to become comfortable with that feeling though. You know, just like, I feel like I'm really hard on myself sometimes. Like just you go to that negative place sometimes where you're like, this is terrible. Like, what like, but I'm starting to just be comfortable with like, that's just part of the process. Like, you got to be bad at something before it's good. Like, a song has to be like naive and not finished before it's the final piece, you know?
That's a great quote right there. The song does have to be kind of naive at first. It's very rare that you know, the second you start something, like, it's going to be fully, I don't want to say fully formed, but like the soul is completely finished, I guess. Maybe that's not a great way of describing it, but yeah, just things, you know, in a song change, and they should over time to get better. Like, it can be hard to discern what should stay, what's important and should stay over the course of the entire lifetime of the song, and what is maybe something you're holding on to, attachment that shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, I mean, I find like another thing that I find is really powerful is just the things you remember versus the things you don't. Like, sometimes I'll make myself finish an entire song's worth of lyrics and then show up the next day and just be like, what do I remember?
Dude,
what can I like pull from my memory? And if I can't remember it, then it doesn't matter if I can pick up that page from yesterday. I'm just going to cross it out.
Dude, that's so true. It's a great litmus test. For, is this lyric hooky enough? Does it hit you? Is it memorable? I mean, at the end of the day, is it memorable? If you can't remember your own lyric, it's not a good sign.
No, and like all the songs on this new album are songs that at one point or another I was like, oh, this song's good, but like I can write better ones. I'll move on from it. And then it just like stuck around in my mind, and I was like, that song's actually good. I'm gonna stick with that one. I'm gonna replay it. And I ended up sending like maybe like 15 or 20 demos to my producer Brett with Wirebird up in Nashville, and like we narrowed it down to 10. But like those were all just songs that maybe even some of those demos I made like 2 years prior, and they were just sitting around. But then I was like, you know what, like I won't forget this song. Like I keep singing it to myself,
Yeah. What was like the main characteristic of a song that made the cut in that 25? Only 10 got there.
I think a lot of it was like acoustic guitar based, in the sense that they were written on an acoustic guitar, and just like you naturally will go to some chord progressions. And I think, some of it is like the chord progression might change to go into the chorus, because you need some way to change it up when you're just playing it on an acoustic guitar. And like you can't change like how many elements are in it, so you got to change it in another way. I think just like very honest personal lyrics. I think the album was written from the ages of like 23 to 26, so that like, or really like 21, 22 to 26. So like becoming an adult in a way. And like I think there's a lot of like nostalgia for like my childhood and just my younger years in there.
Dude.
Yeah.
I have to say, the lyric that caught me the most was about Murphy Candler Park.
Do you know Murphy Candler?
Unfortunately, I do, because
Really?
y'all kicked our asses.
Oh, really?
Every summer for All-Stars.
Damn.
When I was like 8 years old.
Where'd you play?
Smyrna.
Okay.
Smyrna Little League.
Damn,
dude, we were
son.
Bad News Bears. We were so bad. Did you play Murphy Candler baseball when you were like 8?
Yeah.
Did you do All-Stars?
No, dude. Every team I was on, my dad never coached, and the kids who made the All-Stars, there were 2 from every team, and there were 2 dads coaching every
nepotism.
team. And every year, I remember there was one. I mean, I'm going back to my glory days now. When I was like 9 playing baseball, but there was one year where one of the coaches was like, Jack, I'd love to have you on the All-Stars, but like, we got to take this guy's son. And I was just like, damn.
Dude, they told you that at 9?
I think, yeah, he just kind of like mentioned in passing. And I was like,
Whoa.
oh, okay. But now I think back, I'm like, damn, I should have had that,
That's tough.
It was tough.
Certainly a pretty important life lesson, though.
Yeah, man.
Like that doesn't go away.
No. My dad should have coached.
Yeah.
It's messed up.
That sucks. I was going to say, you probably yourself kicked my ass.
Okay.
In that.
At some point,
because I was so, our team was, it was funny because like we thought we were the shit.
Yeah.
We were the All-Stars.
Yeah, dude.
And then we went and played Murphy Candler, Buckhead, NYO, all these other, and we got our asses handed to us
NYO,
every time.
I feel like NYO probably kicked our ass, though. I feel like
really? I mean, they were all much better than us. To me, you were all on the same level, and it was way higher.
Yeah, I just know I ended up going to like middle school and high school with some NYO kids, and they were top level.
Pretty serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I'd go by their fields, and I was like, damn, this is so much nicer than Murphy Candler,
Yeah.
And they had, I think one of the people who donated to their field was named Gar, so they had a field called Garfield.
He was in my...
Oh, really?
He was in my grade at school. I grew up with that kid.
Okay.
Jeremy and Justin Gar, twins.
Dude, I
were in my math class. They were in... Dude, don't get me started. I mean, shout out to the Gars.
Yeah. Dude, I played lacrosse, and I played against them in lacrosse.
There you go.
They were absolute beasts. Their stick skills
shout out to the Gars.
Yeah,
There's no way they're listening to this.
Dude, we're back in our glory days.
Yeah. That's so funny, though. Yeah, they were like in my math class. I grew up with them. And then just like most school situations, as soon as I graduated, I didn't see them.
Yeah,
I've never seen them.
No. Yeah.
But that's really funny. The connections.
Yeah.
There's probably even more that we have that we don't know about. But yeah, nice little aside talking about Little League baseball.
Crazy.
I do have a couple more questions.
Please,
just more like specific things, more personal to you. What do you feel like is the song that you've written that you're most proud of?
That's a great one. I mean, I think I remember when, just being about my dad, you know, that was probably the hardest song to write and the one that means the most to me. So in one sense, that's like, I feel like that's a song that'll be with me for my lifetime, you know? Then like some more technical ones, like Neil Young Sketch, which is going to be my next single. Like
Neil Young Sketch.
Yeah.
That's a cool name.
Yeah. It's, like that. I'm probably most proud of those lyrics. Like, it's like it's a breakup song, but it's like a very honest one, you know? And like I went from the perspective of someone who like cares for the person they're dating, but like knows that it's time to end a relationship and like how difficult that can be. And so I like those lyrics because I feel like they tackle like a very unique, like specific situation really well.
Yeah.
So I think, and that one, like, I just think that one has a great hook too. Like it's one of my favorite songs.
I'm stoked to hear that one.
Yeah, man. Coming out soon.
Nice.
Yeah. I think, so I was in a band before this called Rabbit Season where I was the songwriter, and there were some, like, I feel like I have to find a way to record them at some point. Like, there was some songs I wrote for that band that, like, I don't know. You know, they're like, I love all of them in different ways. They're like my children.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The classic trope.
Yep.
So true, though.
I mean, I think through the years, the one that just came out, like, there's something about those lyrics that are like I think the melodies are great. I love the trumpets on it. And like, those are some other lyrics that just like are very important to me, mean a lot, you know?
Seems like lyrics are like
Yeah.
the baseline.
I mean, I
what
think
really makes you feel attached to something.
Yeah, and like even just songs I love. Like I feel like every song I love, as much as I love the energy or the melodies, like there's one lyric in it that just like digs into my soul, you know? And I'm like, damn, like that is so true and so universal. And like that's what'll make me fall in love with a song versus just like enjoying it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny, man. It's starting for me to become the same way about lyrics, but it really hasn't been that way for me for a long time. It's always been more so like what sonic textures I can get, because even listening to other people's music, the lyrics are rarely ever the first thing I consciously pay attention to. Whereas I know other people that I'll show them a song for the first time and they're like paying attention to the lyrics and like, whoa, that's really cool. I'm like, I didn't even know that's what they were saying. I've heard listened to the song for years. Yeah. It's just for some reason what I focus on is the sonics, and it's not that is less important now. It's still very important, but I'm trying to shine more light on like, hey, how do you really feel? Like, am I faking this just to like get a melody out?
Maybe, or like, I feel like even saying the word faking is pretty harsh though. Like,
maybe
so much about music is like, maybe you just like, especially pop music, it's like maybe you just need words. You need words that are like unique and memorable enough that they can convey a melody, but you don't want them to be too weird where they take away attention from the melody. You know,
maybe faking is the wrong word. It's sometimes back in the day, for sure, a few years ago, I used to really like be cool with phoning it in. Just being like, you know what, this is good enough. It means kind of something. But it's not like, at the end of the day, would I sit here and like stand by it? Maybe not.
Well, I mean, I think there are a lot of artists who are really popular who might do that with some of their songs. You know?
And you know, it's everyone's journey to figure out what makes sense, and you gotta go through some not awesome songs and not awesome lyrics and not awesome decisions to get to the best ones. You know? I also wanted to know about, how do you feel like, since you started this journey songwriting and releasing music, how do you feel like you've grown the most as an artist, and what sort of creative territory would you like to explore more going forward? A bit of a two-parter.
Yeah, man. I'm going to tackle that first one. I feel like I've grown so much, just even as a person, from pursuing this. You know, I got into it late compared to a lot of people. Like, like I said, I played like saxophone in middle school, but like that was really just because I had to, and I switched to like film in high school the second I could.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I got out of band just because I was like I don't know, I wasn't like that into music even in like high school. Like I never really like there were songs I loved, and like I feel like I've always had a knack for like singing a melody or like just like coming up with melodies in my head, but I never like took it seriously. And then I actually like senior year of high school started fooling around with my dad's guitar, and my parents got me my first guitar for high school graduation. And then like something about just like the emotions of like graduating high school and like going to college and like struggling with that just made me like dive in just entirely into guitar. And so I feel like I've gained a lot of perspective on just like being a human and like what it means to be an adult, like through just like first learning how to play guitar and like learning how to not be good at something, you know? Because like that's tough to like get up in front of people for the first time. And like I feel like in a lot of ways it's tougher to do that like in your 20s versus like when you're really young, you know?
Oh yeah, dude.
Like,
I teach kids music.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable the confidence that a 7-year-old has.
And I feel like everyone's like and as they should be, like so supportive of like a young kid trying stuff. You know, it's like you don't see it as often, like someone a little older like learning new stuff, you know?
And people being super supportive of it, you know?
Yeah. So like
we get callous as we get older.
Yeah. So that was very humbling, you know, doing something I wasn't good at. Just like learning to like appreciate day-to-day life. Like so much of songwriting is just like picking up little details of your life and your emotions and really tuning into how you feel in a moment, your relations with other people and with, you know, the ways that we live. And that stuff I didn't think about before I started trying to songwrite. You know, I was just like, get good grades, get a good job, work out, you know? And now
having the blinders on.
Exactly. I've really gotten an appreciation for life and like how hard it can be sometimes, you know, the struggle that just everyone goes through. Artistically, I've got like I said earlier, I used to try and be so clever, you know, because like I had that same mentality, like I wanted to be the best at something, you know? So I was like, I have to write the best lyric and I have to write the best melody and I have to like prove that I'm better, you know, by like singing harder and like singing better songs. And now like I've really learned to like just like share your music with people, you know? And like if something feels good, just like write that song. And if it brings you joy, then that's the song you should write, and that's what it should be. You know, don't overthink things. Like I like to think of it as like writing with my heart instead of writing with my head in a lot of ways, you know? Just like if it sounds good to you, just like let it be. Don't try and force it, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, just being open to like collaborate. I've really grown to appreciate like all types of music in a way I didn't before, just after learning like how hard it is to even like create a song.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
Like I feel like before I'd listen to like even like popular music and be like, oh, this is lame, like it's just pop music.
Right.
And now like you know like how hard it is to finish a song and record it and get people to listen to it. So it's just like, damn.
Yeah, or like make a good recording.
Yeah, man.
And then you hear a Katy Perry song, however you feel about her is whatever, but like, dude, those songs are crystal clear.
Yeah, man.
And whether you like it or not, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
It's hard to write a pop melody that...
Yeah.
I mean, how many songs can you name that she's
and like
made that are hits?
I've learned how important to like, and this is something I still am like in the dark about in a lot of ways, how important like creating like an artistic identity and a narrative like around your music is. And just like, people can talk about pop music as if it's super trivial, but like those pop, like Taylor Swift right now, she's created this entire like identity around her music, and it's like so much more than like just the songs. And like Katy Perry, like you brought her up, like those albums, like Teenage Dream and stuff like that. It's just like
crazy.
Like every
how many
song,
hits were on that album.
man, and it's just like fun. Like she definitely played into like the ditzy pop star thing, but like it was all so good. Yeah, we actually, my band covered I Kissed a Girl, Oh, that song's fire, dude. And she has
song.
She has like alternate mixes. I think they like made a version of that album with like distorted guitars and stuff.
Whoa.
And then they were like, oh, this is too rock. Like it needs to be more pop. So they like pulled it back and like maybe used electronic drums on some of the songs. But like they're like harder versions they're pretty fire.
Whoa.
Yeah, man.
Check that out.
Yeah, dude.
Did you ever listen to, there's one Demi Lovato song, La La Land?
Not that one.
Ah, man. Off to send. Just the distorted guitars thing made me think about it. Because I went back, I listened to it like a year ago. I used to listen to it all the time at like when I was 9 or 10.
Yeah.
And I heard it like the other day, a year ago. And I just remember being like, dude, this still, like there's a moment in time where I would have been embarrassed to like be caught listening to it.
Yeah, man.
I'm like, this is like a genius songwriting, piece of song.
Yeah, dude.
And it's like, so it was hard. Like they're hard, distorted guitars, very like intense.
Yeah, dude.
For a Disney pop star at the time.
That, yeah, man, there were some, when we were younger, there were some absolutely fire, just like female pop artists. Like, Kelly Clarkson's first big album, dude.
Yeah.
Like every song on that is a banger.
Behind these hazel eyes,
that song's
dude.
fire, dude. Breakaway.
Breakaway, that's right. I forgot that was her. Because what is it? Because of You.
Because of You.
Is that what it's called?
Yep.
Yeah.
And like the first song on that album's crazy too.
Mm-hmm. Dude,
yeah,
Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah,
shout
man.
out. Yeah, it's crazy what sticks with you later.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
do you ever have those moments where you go back and you listen to something maybe you listened to in high school and you're like, this, I would never choose to listen to this now. Or maybe not never, but like, for example, in junior, senior year of high school, Queens of the Stone Age, I would say was my favorite band.
Okay.
Hands down. And I still love them, but it's rare I put them on.
Yeah, man.
It's just not my speed anymore.
I find the rock from that era, like you said, Queens of the Stone Age, like I find like I'm not as interested in listening to that. Whereas like the pop music from that era, like when I was like a younger guy, I was like, oh, I don't listen to like girly pop music. But now I'm like, those songs are so good. Whereas like,
yeah.
I think I had like a few Avenged Sevenfold songs on like my iPod, and now I'm just like, what was I doing? Like, what? Like, and like knowing like as much as I do about music production now too, I'm just like, they were trying way too hard. Like all that rock from like the turn of like the 2010s, like the 2000, like they figured out, they learned Pro Tools, or like they got Pro Tools in their studio and they're like, we can have like 500 tracks on this song. Like
it's so over.
Let's layer everything. Yeah. But yeah, you know, I think I find more that I'll just like stumble across a song and I'm like, damn, like I never think about that song, but it was like so important to my childhood. Like,
yeah.
Not like, not to, I know this guy is, not the best guy, but Forever by Chris Brown. Like every dance I ever went to, like that song played and it's such a banger, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
dude, I mean, how many Kanye West songs could people say that about?
Oh my God. I saw this video where it broke down like all the samples he used on Graduation. It's like, it's all just like classic rock songs from like the 70s.
Right.
Like there's a Steely Dan.
Song. Yeah, the Steely Dan song.
Yeah, King Crimson. It's all so good though. Oh yeah, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Yeah. I'll still listen to that album.
Dude, yeah. That, you know, funny enough, that was one I still never really got into too much. And like, I feel like, I don't know, part of me is nervous that someone's like, oh, you love Fantano, so like of course you wouldn't. But like truly, without even knowing anything about that controversy of like his, you know, giving that a 6 out of 10, I just never really I would try to listen to the whole album, and like I loved Power.
Yep.
And
All the Lights.
So good, All the Lights was actually the first Kanye song I ever heard.
Really?
Or at least consciously chose to listen to and loved it. But the rest of the songs on there just don't like hit for me. But Yeezus was my first real entry. Okay. Which was kind of strange.
Yeah. I feel like I haven't listened to his more recent stuff. Like I think My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is my favorite of his. Just like Power, it goes so hard. I don't know, you know,
that song does rule.
There are just like certain songs, like where if I'm going for a run or like I love to ski. Just like a song that I can like throw on before I go off on a run. Like it just gets me so hyped.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah, man.
We forgot to talk about creatively where you want to be going in the future.
I feel like I have a few, like someone I identify with a lot, not to say I'm as skilled as he is, but like Neil Young, just in the sense that he'll like make an acoustic album and then just makes like a really heavy raw album. Like I'm really like this last album I did was very much like singer-songwriter. Like I write these songs on guitar. I write and then I'll take them to a band and we'll record them that day together. You know, very much like an old school way of recording. For my band Rabbit Season, I did a lot more like production work and like writing songs around a loop I create. And so like I've been working with just like making, whether it's like a drum loop or like writing on like a synthesizer or an instrument I'm not as comfortable on. Trying
just to
like
get outside of the box.
Yeah, just trying to like bring production more into my writing process.
Okay.
So like opening up new ideas like that. Focusing more on like writing catchy stuff versus like being very serious with my acoustic guitar, you know? Almost more poppy in a way, but just in like the sense of singing something and I'm like, oh, that feels good. Let me find a way to make it genuine versus like starting from like a place like higher, like intellectually being like, I want to write a song about this. Let me compose it now, you know?
Yeah.
Do
you usually have a concept first before you do anything? Or do you, me, I let the chords typically dictate
I think
what's about to happen, I guess.
I think what happens is I'll be strumming on an acoustic guitar, blurt a line out, and I'm like, I love that line. What is it about? And then go back and like write the whole thing about that. You know, that's a lot of the songs on this album. I've been listening to a ton of M83.
Sick.
Like, I mean,
yeah.
Actually, my girlfriend and I, the last time we did shrooms, we just listened to that whole like "Hurry Up, We're Dreaming" album.
Yeah.
Which was
my god,
incredible.
Yeah.
I love that album so much. Like, I want to, like, I have some songs that I wish I could. I think his name's Anthony Gonzalez. Like, I have so many songs written that I wish he would just come in and produce. Because like, I've been like working really hard to like write with a drum machine. Like, I feel like I still have trouble envisioning the final product when I produce a song in the box with like a drum machine. You know, like I feel like I can feel the dynamics when I have someone record live drums, and like I don't know enough to produce a song where like the dynamics come from the production and like layering in instruments and like opening filters and stuff. So I'm trying to learn more about that, like how to get my dynamics from different sources. So more modern in a way.
Yeah.
But like, I guess I'm trying to find a way to fuse my love of like that more like pop and synth pop and like modern production with just like my more like acoustic like singer-songwriter.
It's cool,
stuff.
man.
Yeah.
You're going more of a not electronic, but maybe incorporating something like that.
I feel like I'm trying to find like a middle ground that feels honest to like who I am as an artist.
Yeah.
Because I still feel like a lot of the songs I write, they're like very separate. Like, oh, this is a Nirvana song. This is a Tame Impala song. This is a acoustic guitar song. And so I'm trying to find that blend of like production and writing that kind of meets in the middle. Right now I'm experimenting with like recording like heavier drums and like using distorted guitars more as like a flavor in the song versus like just having them chug the whole time, and then just like seeing how it sounds, like put horns on top of that, like almost like a more like garage vibe to it, you know?
I got
like just trying to like blend all those instruments together.
Yeah,
you know?
Really experiment with different sounds.
And right now it like feels very ambitious, and I might end up like finding a producer for it at some point, just because like it's too much to do like all that myself. But I feel like I have to understand, like get the final vision for it, you know?
Yeah, and the good thing about having a home studio,
man,
and if you do want to have someone else produce it, at least the home studio gives you like a playground to mess around in and try out new things that don't have to work, you know?
Yeah, and like a lot of the songs on this current album I had like tried to produce myself, And so there were a few times where I like brought the recording in and I showed it to the bassist, and I'm like, I really like this bass line in the chorus. Like, I want you to like get as close to that as you can. And of course, he was a stud, so he could do it.
Yeah.
I brought my friend Brandon, who still plays with me, in, and he recorded some drum parts for my songs. And then like I ended up just being like, I can't produce this myself, but I showed his drum parts to the drummer in Nashville just because I was like, he came up with some like really good stuff. So I don't want to lose that, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome, because it's kind of hard to always be aware of what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Might not be what it's supposed to be, and that's okay. You can use it as a reference later, right? There's been many times where I just get frustrated because it's not perfect, and then I end up using it as a reference later, and it's like, oh, it wasn't supposed to work because I got to do this first.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you're happier with it usually.
Yeah, I feel like it's just one step at a time. Like, I used to want everything all at once. Like, I have to write the best song and record it right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's just impossible, you know? Like, all you can do is take the next step, whatever that is.
Yeah, this really teaches you a lot of patience.
Yeah, a lot of frustration.
Being patient with yourself, and
man.
going through the motions and learning about what you want to do and what works for you and what doesn't. And it's a process. We're always learning.
Yep.
Cool. Well, Jack, let's take it over to the last 5.
All right,
I'll
let's
ask you
do
5 quick questions. We'll get going. I always say where I ask you, but nowadays we're letting the universe decide. We got our bowl here full of questions.
Oh, man.
Go ahead and just pick out one at a time. Let's see what number 1 is.
Unexpected musical influence.
Unexpected musical influence.
All right. Let me think about this. Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah, I really love this question because it's most people don't really think about it.
Where do most people go with this one? Like,
well, for me, I'll use myself as an example because somebody would be like, "Oh, what does your music sound like?" Or,
okay,
and I'm like, it sounds like these." I guess it sounds like these people, but to be honest, they're not who I listen to all the time. Like, my favorite band ever, like my 3 favorite bands ever: Radiohead, The Beatles, and Wilco.
Okay.
I at least easy top 3. Radiohead, I could say, is maybe my favorite of all time. Yeah. And my music sounds nothing like them. Okay. It's just, so it's weird. It's like people might be like, really? Like, I wouldn't have thought that. I mean, they're a huge band, so it's not like hard to grasp that idea, but none of my music sounds like them.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'll say I think the first one that comes off the top of my head is Phoebe Bridgers.
Cool.
Like her, like especially that first album, she just had so many interesting lyrics. Mm-hmm. Like I think that really like showed me the possibilities of like language in a song, and like how even in modern day, like you can have like a lyric kind of cut through, and like you can be known for your lyrics. So like I don't really think I write songs too close to her or like production style, but there was a time when I like listened to I listened to a bunch of her stuff, and it's more just like opening my mind to the possibility of like unique and non-typical lyrics, you know?
Yeah. Dude, I just listened to an album last night for the first time that kind of opened my mind to what some really great lyrics can be. It's by this artist named Kara Jackson. Okay. Who never heard about her until the god Anthony Fantano, who I worship religiously, and some people don't like that, but whatever. He gave that album, her new album, like a really great score. So I was like, okay, let me check it out, you know? Yeah. And I typically don't usually get into very sparsely arranged singer-songwriter type stuff. And this is kind of that, but dude, the lyrics are like so powerful. And she's actually she's like a poet that was recognized like I don't know how poetry works, I guess, in terms of like hierarchy or whatever, but she like some 2019 laureate, whatever. So she's like a prize winning poet, which makes sense when you listen to the lyrics. You're like, they're so simple and yet it cuts so deep. So if you're into that, I mean, I know you love really good lyrics, so you probably dig it.
Yeah, who is that?
Kara Jackson.
Okay.
I'll send you her album.
Yeah, please.
But yeah, so Phoebe Bridgers.
Yeah.
Great answer.
All right.
Unexpected influence. Let's check number 2.
Yeah, let's see here. What do we got? Underrated artist at the moment.
Yeah, who do you feel like's not getting enough shine right now?
Like in a worldwide sense, dude, this is so tough because I feel like so much of the music I listen to is older. You know, like sometimes I lose track of the current moment. Let me think.
You can even say somebody like back in the day who should have got a little more praise. Yeah. Damn.
Well, I mean, I feel like one of the obvious, there's certain artists it takes so long for people to get around to, like the Velvet Underground. I feel like they took a long time. Underrated artist at the moment. I feel like, I want to keep thinking.
You can also come back to it.
Yeah, I just like thinking of like the current like zeitgeist. I feel like there's a certain like feeling in music right now where it's like more about like having fun. There's a certain like, and obviously like it's so tough to talk about musical eras because like everything's happening all the time, but like I feel like a lot of the music that's really popular now is like there's a certain, and just like celebrity in general right now, there's a certain sense of like what am I trying to say? Like you can take yourself too seriously. Like I don't know if people are super into artists who are doing that right now. I felt like one of my favorite artists is Bruce Springsteen. And like for so long I was almost embarrassed of that fact. Like because he's just like so just like writing music about like factories in America and stuff.
Yeah,
but like
it's also very dad rock.
Exactly. But like
He's the boss, man.
I've started listening to him again, and like some of his songs are just like such classics. His earlier stuff, like Born to Run, I play that song a lot in my sets. Just like those lyrics still feel so relevant to me, Yeah. Like, so like that's someone who I feel like gets like categorized as just like old dad classic rock, But like, I don't know, I'm still like finding new stuff about his music that I love.
Yeah, dude. Most people that would be quick to write him off probably don't even know about the Nebraska album.
Yeah, dude.
You're like, listen to that.
Yeah.
Like that's a heavy singer-songwriter album.
Yeah. No absolutely.
Frills.
Yeah.
I love that one. Very haunting. Maybe. So Bruce Springsteen, underrated artist.
Underrated, man. No, he's an independent indie artist.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, give him some support. Subscribe to his Patreon.
Yeah, man.
Let's check out number 3. What do we got?
Right. What do we got here? Dream artist producer to work with. Well, I did already say Anthony Gonzalez. I hope I'm not getting his name wrong, but M83, yeah. I think that'd be really cool. But I mean, there are definitely more like I feel like there are just some producers like you learn about that'd be so cool to just like take your songs to, Like I feel like Kevin Parker always like just comes up with something cool. Like I don't know how well like I'm talking like I'm gonna work with him. Like I don't know if that would be the best. Like I feel like Rick Rubin's having a moment right now. He just wrote a book.
I have his book in my backpack over there.
Yeah, I have his book in my backpack. Dude, too.
It rules.
It looks good,
Yeah.
It's like it's definitely you can just pick up, read a page, and you're like, oh, that's cool.
I don't feel like it's good for me to read more than a chapter at a time.
Yeah.
Because it's like each one is just, and it's, well, first of all, it's so short, and it just feels like you got to sit on it and digest it.
Yeah.
And if you just go through like 4 at a time, it's almost like not giving each one its it's due. Or at least that's how I feel.
It almost like if you read each page, it feels like you're like scrolling through TikToks, you know, just like little like bits of information.
Yeah.
I'll go M83. I think that'd
Sure.
be like I like the production on.
That's pretty unexpected
stuff.
influence.
Yeah, man.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
For you. I wouldn't have thought that.
And I don't think he's super influential on this upcoming album, you know, but
There's a new one coming out.
there's some new songs I'm writing. I'm trying to figure out.
Oh, yours. I thought you meant his album.
Oh,
I was like,
no.
how do you know?
Yeah, well,
You got
dude,
the
I've heard
hookup?
it, man. I've heard it.
Yeah.
No, I'll go with him. That'd be sick.
Yeah.
You could show me a thing or two.
Absolutely.
You know?
Let's see what number 4 is.
All right. Best worst decade of music.
Yes,
oh,
dude.
Man.
As soon as you said it's hard talking about like
man.
times and music, I was like, I hope he picks that question.
It is. It's just like I feel like no matter what set of years you say is the worst, like you can pick out like 10 bands that are actually sick from. But like,
and vice versa.
Is a podcast. We need hot takes. You know.
Yeah, you gotta have hot takes for this question specifically.
Okay.
I used to let it slide. People being like, "Oh, the 1560s." I'm like, I'm not doing it anymore, dude. I'm not humoring this. I want hot takes.
I just read a book about Europe's transition from the medieval period to the Renaissance, and music was lacking back then in the 1400s. But I won't say that. I won't say that.
Very Baroque.
Yeah. No, it was behind the times, man.
Oh.
Just it actually did bring up. It's like every art form except for music had a renaissance in the Renaissance era, you know?
Weird.
Which is cool to think about.
Yeah.
Like, they were still playing Baroque shit, even when, like, Michelangelo was doing his thing.
Huh.
You know? But, yeah. All right. So, what, like, 50s, 60s on?
To me, I mean, if, in my opinion, I couldn't name, like, pretty much any 50s artist.
Okay.
If you can, then I say it's viable. But I think it's typically 90s till now.
Okay. Yeah, man. I mean...
Or, I'm sorry, what am I saying? 60s till now.
I mean, until recently, I would have said, like, 60s best by far. And that might be the answer I end up on. Like, I love history just as much as I like music. And I think what first brought me into music and an interest in it was, like, reading about the Beatles in a historical context and, like, Bob Dylan and just, like, you know... when hip hop came on the scene, like the social implications of that and just like what music means to like the wider culture in the world. Mm-hmm. So I think I'll say the 60s just because like the experimentation and like doing so much with so little that they did in the 60s is like wild. And the fact that you went from like Elvis in like the late 50s to like Led Zeppelin 1 in 69 and just like, so
it's a bit of a
it's just
like the Big Bang.
And like just like my dad was born in 1960, so like he would tell me about what it was like to be a music fan back then. Like he was a big Zeppelin guy and just like being a music fan back then, like so many adults were like that rocks the devil's music. And like there was no internet, like there was no music on TV. Like maybe there was one radio station, but they probably wouldn't play rock. So like like all you'd hear, you get like one album from your favorite artist like every 2 years and like maybe like 3 pictures. And then if you were lucky enough, you'd see them in concert and like that was it. So they were just like gods.
Yeah, there's such a mythology to that.
Exactly. They were like more than just like dudes with guitars, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think like the experimentation and just like the explosion of like creativity and like
the
really just like
everything.
And just like music being like culturally central, you know, because I think even now music is not nearly as like central to like the culture as it was back then. Like you had people like worshiping these artists, you know. So I think that just like the explosion of creativity and like how society transformed in that decade with music, and you know, there's a lot of hypocrisy in that too, but sometimes it's fun to just listen to it and like buy into the whole hippie thing, you know? Not like get too realistic and judgmental about it, you know?
Right.
But I mean, like even
for what it was, like
even like listen to like Hendrix albums, just like the sounds they came up with when like they just had like 8 tracks of tape is incredible, you know?
It's crazy. That's why such a big Beatles nerd, even though that's not exactly a controversial statement, but what they were able to do with the equipment they had, and not to mention the fact that they were kind of the first to do a whole lot.
Yeah.
I won't say the first to do everything, you know, but like a lot of recording techniques started there, you know, a lot of pop hooks and like crazy bass lines in pop music, and it's kind of came from there.
Like where they'd record like Abbey Road and EMI, like there was like a team of scientists like trying to come up with new technology that like the Beatles would use, which is like so crazy.
Yeah, crazy,
dealing with these like huge like tape machines and shit. Like and like I like just like the pop music from that era too, just like the string arrangements and stuff. Like that song like Love Grows Where my love goes where my rosemary grows, or whatever. Like just like that type of pop song where it's just like catchy melody, a second catchy melody, do it one more time. It just like in and out, but it had like very like old school magic to it, you know, and just like the strings and horns, and the fact that they were all playing it like together is so cool.
Yeah. Dude, it's wild to think how much it's evolved over the years.
Yeah.
But what about worst decade? You're not getting out of this without trashing a decade.
I feel like maybe it's like the 2000s, like late 90s into the 2000s. Like I feel like, but then again, you know, like you had the Strokes in there, so like can't hate on it, but. Like
it's an impossible question. You're always going to have bands there.
Like
that time frame.
I find that like that post grunge rock, some of it is like so brutal, and it's just like trying so hard to like
Creed.
Yeah, like, but I mean, you know, like I don't want to join in on the train like Nickelback sucks.
Right? Yeah,
you know?
It's easy.
Like
it's a cop out.
It's been like overdone, but you know, I do feel like there was a certain like uniqueness and like innocence in a way of that like Nirvana music. Like it was just like great. It like had some like essence to it that, you know, a lot of people tried to like catch and like couldn't. And then I think in those early 2000s you had, like I mentioned earlier, like people just getting Pro Tools and just going crazy with production, like making like doubling and like quadrupling like everything to death.
Like it seems like everything that ends up being like a bad stereotype musically started from something that was not done before, and then everybody capitalized it and like pushed it to its max till it's overdone.
And at the same time, and I'd have to like mess with the years a little bit to capture all this, but like you had like that ringtone rap, like Soulja Boy stuff, where it's like catchy, but like it's more pop than like hip hop, you know, and like some of those songs were bangers, but you know, not. So I think like sometime like mid 90s to mid 2000s, you know?
Yeah. I do allow specific year to years.
Okay. I'll do that. I'll take that.
Cause I would just say like 67 to 77 or 68 to 78 was like the best.
Okay. I like that.
But I also I'm a firm believer in like, what's happening now has so much potential to be the best. You know what I mean? It's just hard to know when you're living in it necessarily.
I mean, I think okay, how about this? Would you say right now, like maybe like the past 10 years or like the past 5 years or the next past 5 years, are they more likely to be the best or the worst in your mind?
Do I feel like the last,
like if we were to take a chunk of 10 years, because it's so hard to put like the current moment in context, in your mind, like from 5 years ago to 5 years in the future, is that going to be, is that more likely to be the best
right
decade?
In the middle of it?
Yeah. Is that more likely to be the best or the worst decade?
Ooh, I mean, I would love to be optimistic and say the best. I don't think it would be the worst, but also that's just bias of like being this age in time and being so like in love with music and what's happening currently that there's no way I would probably say it's the worst. I could say it's the best, but of course there's going to be some like bias just because early 20s, there's like, you know, how many people in their 40s only listen to, or 50s only listen to like the 80s channel. So maybe I'll be that guy, but I wouldn't want to be. I don't think I will. What I do think is amazing about the last 5 years and the next 5 years probably will be that music production is so power to the people now. Mm-hmm. Anybody can make pretty amazing stuff from their bedroom. And the great thing about that is I think so many barriers are broken, and the gatekeepers are not as important anymore, and people can just be as creative as possible and make very personal creative decisions that don't have to be approved by an executive. The downside of that is you're going to get a lot of bullshit. Yeah, man. But that's okay. Like, I think that's fine. Like, I will take that. Okay. What do you call it?
Trade-off?
Yes, thank you. Trade-off. Gotcha. That's the word.
I mean,
that's a good question.
I think I just see the flip side of that is like, I feel like music's becoming, like, obviously to like individual artists, it's not this way at all. But like to the general culture, I feel like music's becoming more trivial in a way. Like, people are blowing up on TikTok now and stuff, and it's like catchy sound bites. And I think, but like, I'm not trying to hate on that because like a lot of good stuff's coming from that too. And a lot of people are getting platforms that wouldn't in the past. But yeah, I think there's something that like having a big record company that has good A&R people, like I think that's kind of gone. Mm-hmm. And so like, I don't think we're going to see like a super group like Led Zeppelin just like take over the world again, you know?
And if we do, it'll be like a new resurgence of that. Yeah. Because these things cycle, Yeah. So I feel like it could happen, but to be done right, it could be like, it is hard to think about like the idea of, the Strokes now. Yeah. That is like as huge as they were.
Yeah. Or would they Beatles, just be like, I mean, there's like so much good music, but you have to find it now, There's not.
Yeah, you do have to like.
Yeah. So
do a little digging.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what the next 5 years brings. All right, I got one more.
Let's check the last question here.
All right. Oh, this one's balled up. What does that mean? Does this mean no one's ever gotten this one before?
Maybe so. Yeah.
I need
to add some more to the bowl.
This is good. This is really good, man. Best album covers.
Ooh, that has not been asked yet. Yeah.
Damn, I don't even know if I'm the most qualified to answer this one, but I'll just go off instinct. How many? Just start naming.
Let's give I mean, I never really give a cap, but a few.
What ones stick out to me? I mean, King Crimson has some great album covers, like The Screaming Face. Yeah, that's a really good one.
A classic.
I love the Rolling Stones' Let It Bleed, like The Cake.
Mm-hmm. I have that one in there.
I have a random like puzzle of that album cover, but that one's really cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And like it's hard to separate this from like albums that I just love. Right. Like that original Freewheelin' Bob Dylan with him and like Suze Rotella or whatever, like his girlfriend at the time, like huddled up. Yeah, like that's just such like a
down the street.
Just like the innocence and like the newness of that picture.
Yeah.
Velvet Underground, Andy Warhol, Banana is sick.
Rolling Stone said that was the number one best album cover of all time.
I mean, that
I don't know if I would go that far.
It's like I read a lot about the Velvet Underground just when I got super into them, and like that was like the whole like New York art scene was like so just like, I mean, there was so much energy there and so much creativity. So it was like Andy Warhol teaming up with the Velvet Underground. Like, oh shit.
Whoa. You guys hearing that sub bass?
Damn.
That's okay. We're almost wrapped up anyway.
So, so that one's good. What have I got? I'm trying to think of just like a cover that stood out to me. Mm-hmm. But I do just tie it up with the album. I think.
It's very hard to separate. Yeah.
I think like Tame Impala Lonerism. Like I love just like that picture.
Yeah, that one's awesome.
That's cool. I think it like fits the album very well. I feel like a lot of it is like, does the cover sum up what the album's about? And like that Andy Warhol cover for Velvet Underground is like the perfect. It's just like a banana. Like it's so like stupid in a way, but it can be profound if you think about it too much, and just like artistically arrogant, which like the Velvet Underground was in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah, I think, those are some of them. I don't know, what am I missing?
For me, I was trying to think of some, and of course it's hard to separate.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe my favorite album ever, but part of it is because the album cover drew me in to listen to, and it's In Rainbows by Radiohead.
That's a great one.
Yeah. There's something so and nowadays I think the text going down the whole I think that maybe is a little overdone.
Yep.
I did it on a song a long time ago, like years ago.
Yeah, man.
And it was certainly inspired by that.
Yeah.
And it's cool, but I think whatever they did with that, with the explosion behind it, there's just so much going on. I also love, in this similar vein, an album this is one that I don't quite listen to all the time, but the album cover made me listen to it, and it's the Yeah Yeah Yeahs album. It's Blitz, I think, where they're squeezing the egg. Do you know what I'm talking about?
One, no.
I'll show it to you when we're done. But it's very this active thing. It's like this girl, or I don't know, I think it's a girl squeezing an egg.
Okay.
And the yolk is popping out. It's just this, I don't know, very energetic photo.
Yeah, dude, that reminds me, there was one album I definitely just listened to at first, and I actually bought the vinyl because of the cover. It's an album by Bully.
Oh my God, I fucking love Bully, dude.
The one, just it's like her hand in the bath water, but the blue is so nice in the water. I have that one on my wall.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I have a huge crush on Alicia, I think is her name. I got to see them live in Atlanta. This was 5 years ago. But yeah, they're awesome. She rules. Funny enough, I haven't actually listened to that album. Okay. I really got into the first album that they put out, and then not too much stuff after that.
The Double Exposure single cover was inspired by My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see some of that as well. Clearly. Some of that 90s blurry, obscure.
Dude, there's nothing like a bad album cover too. The 70s and 80s singer-songwriters, when it was just a picture of them.
Yeah, dude, it's so bad.
90s Bruce Springsteen has some of the worst. It is hilarious.
I don't even think I can.
Or Creed album covers, dude.
So bad.
Creed, the one with the tree
them
with
all
their
in the
faces.
tree, and somebody's carving their faces in the tree. Yeah, that's man. They got Photoshop for the first time.
Man. Oh yeah, or kid pics. They're blue.
Yeah, MS Paint.
So bad.
That is funny.
Do you think if the album Nevermind sucked, would that album cover be cool?
Ooh,
my hot take is that album cover is actually really fucking dumb.
Be really,
but the music was so good that it's a baby swimming after $1. I think that's so heavy-handed. If the music wasn't so good, but the music was so good.
That's a bit of a take right there. That's interesting.
Yeah, I just look at that and I'm
it is so iconic.
It is. It's so and the guy sued recently,
which is hilarious. Yeah, dude, maybe. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. I don't know.
Maybe I'm being a little harsh on it, but
no, I love it.
I definitely one time I looked at it for too long and I'm like, this is kind of dumb.
Dude, you could say that about My Bloody Valentine. Because the music fits Loveless so perfectly. Dude, maybe back then that was pretty holy shit. But nowadays you could do that effect so quick, take a picture of your guitar, put some crazy Instagram filter and call it a day. But if the music is so perfect, and then it does really match the sound of or the visual of what you're looking at, but it's just a guitar that's blurry as hell and pink.
Yeah, I think my take on the Nirvana one is it's tough.
Too on the nose.
It's tough to make a real on the nose political statement, especially now. I feel in the 90s that was a lot more common, but nowadays I feel just on the nose political statements are just a little cringy in a way. Yeah. Because it's been not that, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think
I'll say this: I don't think we look to musicians for political opinions anymore.
I think you just typically know what you're getting. Yeah. I'm not surprised if a musician comes out and does this, I don't know, maybe Instagram notes app rant or something. I'm rarely ever whoa, that's a take I didn't expect. It's usually what you would imagine they would think. Yeah. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, especially if it's a great take. But
if
it's
Kid Rock, it might be a bad thing. But,
dude,
but
yeah. We actually love Kid Rock on this podcast. I'm just kidding.
Damn, that's awkward.
I'm dispel that.
I'm not
rumor
hating
real
on
quick.
All Summer Long.
Dude, that song was
that
song took over 2013 or 12 or whenever that came out.
Dude.
But yeah, dude, let's end it right here. We've done almost an hour and a half.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so I appreciate you coming on, being up
here. Of course. Yeah, man.
Chatting. Jack Hamill. Everybody needs to go check out all your new tunes. You got I Remember When, Double Exposure, and the newest one, Through the Years, new album coming out soon called I Wrote This Album Because I Love You. Little meta. In September, I think, right?
I wrote about you, actually.
Oh,
so, yeah.
I had a feeling I didn't want to bring it up, make things weird, but yeah. So it's coming out in September?
Yep.
Okay, sweet.
As long as I can get an album cover done.
As long as, make sure it's a political message.
Yes.
That's very heavy-handed.
It's a baby chasing a $100 bill.
Okay, nice. A little play on
inflation. I'm telling you.
Inflation,
I'm talking about the Biden.
Exactly. Biden's America.
These economic policies and what they're doing to the average man.
Exactly. Yeah. But cool. Jack, thank you again for coming on. It's been a blast.
Absolutely, Parker. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be on, what is this, 152nd episode now?
This might be 154th or 55th.
Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. All right. Well, yeah. I might have another song or two out by the time this airs.
Sweet.
But
yeah. So go check it out. Follow him on Spotify.
I'm honored to be on the podcast. Thank you so much.
Dude, of course. It's been awesome, man.
Yep.
I'll talk to you later.
On Sundays down in Murphy.
Thank you again for tuning into the newest episode of On That Note with Parker Whirling. Remember, not only can you listen to the episodes on Apple Podcast and Spotify, but you can also watch the episodes on my YouTube channel, which is linked in the description below. And on that note, I'll see you guys next time.
They fade to whispers, you're still so clear.